You know what I'm saying? Well, Robert Earl Dean, we are about ready to do another wonderful, wonderful
Another
interview.
wonderful one.
And we're going back to the grand old Church of God in Christ
Yes.
right here on GOD Radio 1. I tell you, we've been having church up in here. We done been gotten churchy, churchy,
Man, we've been
churchy.
having some church.
Now, let's go get our homegirl from Israelite Church of
Of
God
God
in
in Christ
Christ.
in Kennedy Elementary School.
Yeah, yeah. Who we got
This
on the
is
line?
the Church of God
God
in
in Christ.
Christ.
Yes.
Sing now. Yes, yes, yes. None other than the world renowned.
Deneen Whitley Wilburn.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
We are
Oh man, what a
so
wonderful
glad to have you.
introduction.
Yes, we're so
It's good to
glad
be
to have
here.
you. I have known this young lady for over 40 years of brother and sisterhood and friendship.
Well,
Yes.
I think I got you beat on that one. You know what I'm saying? I'm 55,
I know, but you
and,
didn't know
and,
her as
and,
long
and
as me.
no, 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 no. I think we've been knowing each other since about 5 or 6 years
No,
old.
sir. We grew up in the same church. We were
Uh,
literally
uh,
born in the same church.
I
So you
understand,
don't
but
know
but
us
but I'm
like
older than
that.
you. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Well,
She
I
she
love how you guys are telling my age because
yeah,
you're in a competition.
well,
So wrong.
she my friend first.
Right. Okay, I'll let him
Okay,
have it.
okay, no, we gonna say we're gonna
Right.
share her
Right.
equally, because if we don't, we're gonna have a fight up in here, and so we got the Whitley brothers and the Whitley sisters,
Yes.
so we got people to choose from.
Right. Who I grew up with as
Right, there's a
well.
ton of us.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Now, sis, coming from a very strict
Yes.
Pentecostal church, how did you develop your style?
That is such a good question, especially after watching the Clark sisters
Yes.
program the other night.
Uh-huh.
It took me back memories.
Yes.
It took me back. It's interesting. My parents were, because they were both musicians, they were just really, they didn't let us listen to worldly music,
Right.
but they exposed us to a whole bunch of different kinds of gospel music.
Right.
And I remember when I really started singing, Tremaine Hawkins had just come out.
Come on now.
And she was singing, you know what I mean? There was that traditional gospel, you know how we growl and scream.
Yes.
But Tremaine was just
She was
singing,
smooth.
and her tone. And I remember just singing all her songs. And I think, in looking back, that was really how I developed my style in terms of just tone and straight singing
Mhm.
and in a world of gospel music where everybody's really going in, going hard all the
Right.
time.
Right. That's why I asked that question because growing up in the church that we grew up in, there were diverse artists in our church because Israelite was loaded with vocalists.
Absolutely.
But you always stood out. I remember a song you led called He Will Open Doors. Open doors for me.
You really going back. Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna talk about the brothers was on the brothers and sisters. They was playing the music, and mama and daddy. We knew they're a musical family
Mhm.
and everything like that. But over at Israelite, there was the first families of Israelite,
Yes.
Church of God in Christ, and we was like the Whitleys. Are like, oh yeah, the ones with the pretty sisters,
With the pretty sisters.
you know.
Yes.
But
And
we had to go through we had to go through the brothers, and we're like, oh Lord.
they used to call them the sanctified. They used to
There
call
was
them the
a lot.
sanctified sisters.
Yeah, but if you could play, if you could play
Yes.
an instrument, you got a little bit closer because you got to work with them. But
Yeah,
if you couldn't play an instrument,
exactly.
just because you can preach didn't mean that you could go on and talk to anybody.
Oh no, well you can do that with Israelite girls. Period.
Yeah, well, Pastor Jesse,
Strict.
they were, it was Greater Jackson Memorial, Israelite, St. Luke,
St. Luke,
St.
St.
Stephen's,
Stephen's.
and we all just fellowship
Yes.
together.
Yes, sir.
And everything like that. So let me just get into this. Okay, so we got Daneen Whitley Wilburn on, comes from a very musical
Oh,
family.
Yes.
Now, everybody is now talking about your smooth jazz or your jazz projects.
Yes.
wow.
And at the same point, on the sanctified side,
Yes.
we talking about the jazz project and the gospel. And so that kind of set the atmosphere for us of who is this Daneen Whitley. We'll say Wilburn because you married now. You got offsprings.
Right.
But we know you
Yeah.
as Lil Whitley. But we're gonna just
That's right.
we're gonna let you just expand and
Yes.
let people know what's happening with you and the journey that you're on.
Yes.
Well, it's a really, really interesting journey, and I'm so glad you phrased it that way because I can tell you're seeing what I see, kind of, just bigger. And I think that what I've learned throughout my journey with music and growing up in gospel music, and I'm still, that's still where my heart is.
Of
I still
course.
sing gospel. And even on my album, my first album that came out a year and a half ago, I still wanted to have gospel on there, just for the roots of who I am and where I come from.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've also realized is that God is always about outreach. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
He wants us to reach as big an audience as we can.
Because
and that's
He is.
one of the
Because He's
things-
big.
Because He is. He created everything, and He created everyone. And I always say there's good music and there's bad music.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that sometimes we get kind of, into these little things where we're like, if you're not singing, if the words aren't right,
Right.
this ain't right.
Right.
But this is putting God in some little box, and it's okay to sing gospel music to save folks all the time.
Yes.
But what about the folks that ain't saved?
Come on now.
And that may never set foot in church.
Correct.
We still have an obligation. And so, my music, as far as jazz, I just feel like so many people, Christian people, love jazz music.
Yes.
I know so many pastors,
Yes.
missionaries,
Yes.
love that music. And so I wanted to incorporate both of those things. And that's what we tried to do. We tried to stay true to, and that's what I try to do personally, try to stay true to who I am, but also realize that there's a whole big world out there. And, just sitting in there preaching to all the saved folk, preaching to the choir is not effective.
Not
You got
at
to
all.
go out beyond that and
Yes.
expand what we do.
And that's true, because we are to go ye therefore and teach all nations. Why keep
That's right.
Why keep us in a box and keep the light in a box?
That's exactly
You're
right.
not effective. And one thing about you, you've been effective from a very, very young age with your siblings, your group you had with Rodney Burns. Tell us about
Oh, yes.
we go way back.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys all were writing. That's the big thing.
Yeah, we sure were.
What was the
We
name of the
were.
group
We
again?
wrote a lot of songs. Oh, with Rodney, it was Trinity.
Trinity.
We were Trinity. Yes, that was Rodney Burns, my sister Tony, and me. We did that a cappella group.
You're not too young
Man,
to serve the Lord.
I am old.
Remember that
Oh,
song?
man, you remember? Yes.
You only got
remember so many
minutes,
things.
whoop, whoop, minutes, whoop,
Oh.
minutes to make up your mind, minutes to make up your mind.
Your mind. Oh, my gosh. Rodney wrote that song. I can't take credit for that. Rodney wrote that song.
Oh, yes.
Rodney, to this day, he's still an incredible songwriter.
Oh, yes, he
But,
is.
oh, my gosh. You remember way more than I remember, honestly.
Right, and you know what else, too, that people don't know? You made your national debut on TV at the Gospel Fest.
Yes.
Tell them
Oh,
about
my
that,
gosh.
because many of your fans don't know that much. But that was a
Well, I
huge
was-
platform.
That was a huge platform, and it was a big deal I didn't realize it then, but now I do. It was a big deal for the city of San Diego, too,
Yes.
because we were like, oh, a local girl's on TV.
Right.
And I sang with Michael McCurtis,
Yes.
the Delegates. Michael McCurtis is a wonderful musician.
The
I
Cogent.
met him.
He was over the
Wait,
Cogent
Yes,
Youth.
Church of God in Christ.
Wait a minute. Bishop McCurtis now.
He's a bishop now?
He's
he
a bishop.
bishop?
He's a
Is he?
bishop. He's a bishop, and I believe it's
Auxiliary
Bahamas. Yeah, no, he's over the Bahamas or something.
bishop? What?
Yeah,
Oh,
bishop.
is it Brazil?
Brazil.
I think
What?
it's Brazil.
It's Brazil.
I didn't know
Well,
that.
Excuse me, Michael McCurtis. If you're listening, I am sorry.
Okay, but see, I gotta ask this question because that's she going all the way back to youth Congress days.
Yes.
Where we all got to really know each other. Do you remember the song that he wrote that we just couldn't get out of our spirit called "Always, Always Gonna Be There"?
I don't think so. No.
Man, that was my
Was I
jam.
there?
Yes, it's like always, always,
I don't remember that
always
either.
gonna be there. It was
That's
the
Leonard.
hit. That was the time. See, this is taking me back on
I
memories.
know, especially to
Oh
know
my
that he's a
gosh.
bishop now, and he served for so many years, impacting
He-
so
oh
many
my
young
goodness.
people, implanting
He
seeds in their
really,
lives.
really did.
Yeah.
And that's where I met. That's where I met at the Youth Congress, Church of God in Christ.
Uh-huh.
And so many people that are still my friends, like Ken the Crouch. Remember we all met
Yes.
there too. And just have all become good friends. And so I met him there, and that was the first time he sang. I think I was 18 years old, and I led "We Are Not Ashamed." We played that.
Right.
Mhm.
And when he heard me sing, and he just said, "Oh my God!" And I had no clue. And then so he asked me right there. He said, "I need you to sing with us. We have a competition coming up." And I think 3 weeks later, We were on stage at the Shrine Auditorium
McDonald's
Mm-hmm.
in
Gospel
L.A.
Fest. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
at the McDonald's Gospel Fest,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, we won the McDonald's
They
Gospel
beat the
Fest,
Voices of
and
Fulfillment. We were runner up.
we did. I didn't even know the Voices of Fulfillment then. I knew they looked familiar. I said they're from San Diego,
Right.
but yeah, but they were bad then. They still bad. But yeah, so that was a big deal. Then coming back to San Diego and just seeing the reaction of people, I didn't know that people knew. I was so clueless then, so I didn't know that people even knew what had happened, and people were like, "Oh, that's a girl."
It was
in
nationally
I was like, "Are you
televised.
talking about me?"
It was
I
nationally
know.
televised.
But that just goes to show you, I really was clueless. I
Right.
really didn't know, and but I remember that you guys were just, you were so happy for me, and it was actually a really wonderful experience, and I'm just so thankful that I can look back now and appreciate it the proper way,
Right. Right.
Now I'm gonna get into some personal conversation with you because the Church of God in Christ, we're very, very protective, and we always try to figure out how in the world did this brother Wilburn come in here and snatch you up. Um, uh, now was he Kojic, or did he come from the other church and snatch you up? How that work?
He was not Kojic, and he
See?
did not come from no church.
See,
When I met him, he was with the Assemblies of God.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was with the Assemblies
Well, that's
of God. And
Kojic.
the Assemblies of God,
The Kojic,
yeah,
Kojic came
it's
out of
the
that.
white
Yeah.
Kojic,
Kojic
right?
came,
White Kojic,
Kojic
there you
came
go.
out of that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
it is the
that's
white
our
Kojic.
history.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they're very closely related, and
Mm-hmm.
and with the way they were, came
Beliefs.
to be. It was a street, the whole 9 yards.
Mhm.
And so he was Assemblies of God, and I actually sang. I was a guest soloist at his church.
Wow.
And that's how we met. And
Mhm.
so he kind of he came from the outside.
Right.
Yeah, well, we gonna let at least he came from the Assemblies of God.
Right.
That
Right,
we'll
you
give
gonna leave
him.
that alone?
Yes, and so the reason why I asked that question is because you have three amazing children,
Oh
and
yeah.
I want you to kind of talk about them, especially what you're doing with your girls. Because here's the thing that I love about you: one, you're the same no matter when we see you.
Correct.
You're always a
Oh.
friend. You're known in the industry as the sweet person, the person that
Yes.
always
Oh.
gives love,
Yep.
and you're always encouraging. You're
Mhm.
always hospitable. But then you got these offsprings that are just like little replicas
Yes.
to the nth power of you.
They're amazing.
So can you talk about your family and just what's coming up next? Because man, y'all just ridiculous right now.
Oh, thanks so much, Leonard. They really are my family, my kids. They're just everything, and that was really my focus. Even when I was singing when I was young, and I was still trying to go to LA, and then I had my daughter, and I stopped doing that because I just, it just didn't seem like it was feasible.
Right.
And so I just took that time off, and I had my kids, and then I raised them. And I kind of raised them, in music. Definitely raised them in church.
Mhm.
They are not just they don't just go to church. They work in the church.
'Cause
They
you're a
lead
pastor's
worship
wife.
in the church. That's right. That's right. And so I always wanted that for them. And then coming just from the musical background that I came from, of course, music was going to be a big part of what they do. And now they're just the products of all of those things. And they're all musicians. My daughter, they play guitar, violin, and my son plays piano now.
Wow.
And both my daughters, they sing background for me
Mhm.
at all my shows, and
Mhm.
also on my album. They did the background with Daneen Wilburn.
Mhm.
And they just, it shocks me too, Leonard, because sometimes I'll step to the stage and I'll just start doing something, and I'll look over at them, and boom, they just start singing it. They know where we're going.
Yes.
They know what we're doing.
It's that family bond.
And they're just so, yes, it's that family bond, that family blend.
Yes.
And they step right up to the microphone, and they do what they do. But beyond that, they are just some of the best human beings
And that's
that
important.
I know.
Mhm.
And that means more to me than anything else. And it's all God. I can't take credit for it. God did it all.
And you know what? It's funny because your brother Michael Whitley and I were talking a long time ago when you had taken a break to raise your family and stuff, and we was like, we need to get her back to going. When is she gonna get back to going? He said, I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna work on it. And we look up, and you're starting to sing again at Ben Crosby's club or
Right.
something.
Yeah, it was a restaurant. They had a little lounge area,
Yes.
and Micah had that gig,
Yes.
and he called me. Yeah.
So that's
Oh, go ahead.
what brought you back to singing again.
It is, yeah. I mean, I was just sitting up. Of course, I wanted to do it like this, aching in my belly for all those years
Right.
because that's all I wanted to do, and not knowing if I ever would be able to, but
Right.
hopeful. And then Micah called me and said, "Hey, I want you to come, sit and do some songs on this gig with me." And so I started doing that, and then Bing Crosby got really big, and then from there, I started singing with my friend Brandon Primus, saxophone player.
Oh God, yes.
And
He's amazing.
yeah, he was fantastic. He is amazing. And he's the one who told me, he said, "You've got to do your own show." Because I would just sing with him. He would do shows, and I would, sing along. And he said, "No, you have to do your own." He said, "You have to."
Wow.
And, I was terrified, just, And so I did it for Father's Day. I think it was 2013. Sold out in, just a week.
Yep.
We sold out 3 weeks before the show.
Wow.
And, God is as good. And it just ended up setting things up.
It was setting
and
you up.
progressing.
God was setting
Yes,
you
it
up.
was the setup. He was.
Okay.
He really was.
So let me ask you a question. You got this phenomenal project out, and I want you to talk about, some of the blessings, because you're working with Grammy Award-winning producers and
And she's
everything
charted.
else. So,
And she's charted on a
Yeah.
national. She's on a national charting list.
Yeah.
yeah. So let's talk about your team.
Well, the head of the team, in terms of music direction, production, is Kamau Kenyatta. San Diego's own. He's from Detroit originally, but he's been here for many years, so we all claim him now. So
And
that's
how many Grammys?
Well, he's been nominated for 4, and he's won 2. So he's a producer for Gregory Porter.
Wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he actually
that's my cousin, right?
Gregory Porter.
That's my cousin.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. Are you serious, or are you trying to be funny?
No,
That's my
I'm
cousin,
serious.
I
He's actually our cousin.
Wow, that's so
A small
amazing.
world.
Well, everybody knows, the talent that he is, but Kamau was basically the one that told him. He said, "Man, you got to do this, and you got to do this." So we kind of put him out there, and he started to be successful. And then, when Gregory got a record deal, he called Kamau and said, "I want you to produce me." And so when I started singing, I went to Kamau, and Kamau was the one that put the team together. And I mean, it's like when you see him in the studio working and you see what he does, you even though you're paying him, it's like you still feel like you're unworthy.
Well, especially with a 2-time Grammy Award winner.
Oh my gosh, he is just what he does is so much of it is instinct, so much of it is the knowledge that he has. I mean, he grew up in Detroit, same place as the Clark sisters, all these Motown. Grew up playing with some of the big names that we know now. He went to high school with them. They were in the school band.
Wow.
And so he put together all the musicians. Richard Sellers was on drums. Nathan Brown on bass guitar. Gino, Gimo is his nickname.
Mm-hmm.
Gregory Moore on guitar. My brother Joe was also on guitar.
The one and only.
My brother Micah on organ.
The one and only.
And oh gosh, I how it is. You start to think about people you miss. My daughters are all on background in Willis, but he put together the team. Curtis Taylor on trumpet, and he just put together the whole team, and it came together it ended up being much more than I ever could have hoped it was going to be. I was just wanting to think, I just need to be able to say I got an album. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because when you go put something out, you know how people do.
They always do
But
that.
it's not, we didn't just put something out. We put, it wasn't just some local record that nobody hears. It's been heard all over the world, and I'm so grateful.
And you have how many songs that have charted on the national Billboard?
Well, two songs that have charted nationally.
Wow.
Yes, 2 songs, which is kind of wonderful because the album is a little bit eclectic. There's a little bit, so how, and I know Leonard understands it because he's record producer.
Right.
You try to do things, you stay in a genre so you can kind of know where to put it.
Right.
And so we have some songs that kind of, are from different genres a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to have 2 songs on there, I'm just, it's incredibly thrilled. Out of a 9-song album, so we're super happy about that.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask this question because you so have graced the stage with me several times, from jazz at the Creek to a small little bistro called Beret Southern Bistro.
Yeah.
And there's one thing that I always notice. So I want you to tell us how you deal with it. How do you deal with the fanatical fan that comes up and oh my God, I love you, and they want to follow you everywhere, and they got pictures of you in their phone, on their shirt, and everything else. How do you deal with that fanatical fan, and what's your security to deal with the fanaticals?
Well, when that happens, I'll let you know. But I've had, I wouldn't say fanatics, but I've had a couple that kind of went, that have kind of been, I don't know.
Eccentric?
I don't want to call them. They're excited. Can we say that?
Okay.
Loyal fans.
Yeah, loyal fans. But see, I love, being able to do what I do, and people wanting to come hear me, and I appreciate that. So yeah, you have those people that, there's a fine line, I think, right, between being a big fan and then being a little crazy.
Right.
So far everybody's been just kind of just big fans. I had a couple of incidents where I had to, I did have to change my phone number one time, but
see,
But
Wow. Sis, I have one more question before we go. If you could open up a show for any artist, who would it be?
and you can't say me
Oh,
because
gosh.
I'm retired.
I can't say Leonard.
No, you
No.
can't say me. I'm retired.
Oh my God! If I could open up for anybody, that's such a loaded question. I don't know. I mean, I always feel like people always ask me, "Who's your favorite artist?" And there's so many artists that I love for different reasons and blah blah blah. But if I could open for anybody, oh gosh, I guess what comes to mind because of my association with Kamau, Gregory Porter. I'd love to, because he's has such a close relationship with Kamau.
Right.
And I feel like that would be just, it would be so, the connection would be kind of immediate or whatever. So I guess, and that's kind of anticlimactic, but.
Well,
But
we
I don't
we
know.
both share a birthday with one.
Yeah.
Natalie Cole?
Yeah, you go. You come
Yeah.
on now.
See, look.
Well, you didn't say dead or alive.
Right,
You didn't
right.
tell me dead or
Because
alive.
Deneen and I share a birthday together as
Yeah.
well.
Yes, we
Okay,
do.
you got me trumped on that
February 6th.
one. All right, praise the Lord. Daneen,
Yeah.
I got him on one.
Daneen, I'm gonna take it one way back because we just saw the great biopic by the Clark sisters, and so I want to go back to when you were kids in the Whitley household, a mom and pop Whitley. Could you talk about that experience and how did all of your brothers and sisters become the band? I believe the whole musician corps for Israelite. Did you get shoes thrown at you? Did the belt come out?
We had a switch. It was a switch.
Okay.
My mama
mother-
did too.
I do remember us being lined up singing, and like if we weren't paying attention, we would get like a little switch hit in the
Tap,
booty.
tap.
And I know people, you can't do that today. But ain't nobody complaining about our musicianship. You know what I'm saying?
Come on
Amen,
through,
amen.
church.
And see, that's my whole point is that look, they went through some tough times, but yet and still it produced a pastor, a couple of pastors' wives,
I know that's
musicians.
Well,
and,
their musicianship
yeah.
alone. Look at Joel.
They
being
can read.
big in Dream Girls and playing with Prince and Layla Hathaway. And what people don't know is that years ago, Voices of Fulfillment were looking for musicians, and I talked to Micah and Joel, and they came to Voices because I invited them.
Well, praise
People
the
never
Lord.
knew that.
Praise the Lord. The reason why I asked all of that is because I love the fact of how well balanced your family is, from
yeah.
your littlest sister, and can you just shout out?
So
Can you just go down from mom and pop all the way down so everybody know your connectedness, because they don't really know the breadth of your family and the work that they're doing in ministry.
They're wonderful people.
as well as in the music
Yes.
industry.
I love them.
And some people don't know that my brother Micah and I are brother and sister. So sometimes we'll have people that have come to my shows, and then they'll hear that, they'll be at his church, and then they'll be like, "Oh, are you guys?" And then they'll figure it out. But my mom and dad, Sam and Margie Whitley, Israelites, well known from Israelite.
Yes.
They're both singers and musicians. And my dad was just an incredible singer.
Oh my God, lead singer for
Oh, my
Israelite.
dad. Woo,
Voices
my
of
dad
Israel.
was bad. He would tear the church up.
Voices of Israel.
And yes, Voices of Israel, exactly. And then there's my oldest brother, Sam.
Sam, yep.
And then my sister, Tony, who was a pianist, and incredible
Singing sensation.
songwriter. Yes, and then me, that's where then I'm the next one, and then there's my brother Micah, who is just one of the most talented musicians
And Pastor Ware?
Anywhere, and he's a pastor. He's a pastor of the Rock Church City Heights campus. And then there's my brother Joel, who is one of the best guitar players in LA or anywhere. He is in the world. He is spectacular. And then there's my baby sister Joanna,
JoJo,
who is also a singer too. But she was more in the business end. She worked for William Morris Talent Agency in LA for many years. And she was the assistant to the president for Mariah Carey and just a whole bunch and for Karen Clark here. So she worked in the business end of it. So our family is like we're super tight and connected, and musically, we love to play together, and my brothers, I consider they are some of the best musicians that I've ever played with, and even if they weren't my siblings, I would hire them.
Very reputable. Very
well. I'm gonna end off with this. I just want to say for the record that I have a little jealousy in my heart. For all the offsprings that you guys are producing, and they all can sing, and they all could. I said, Father Jesus, why couldn't I have 6 kids so I could go ahead and get me another group started? But I want to applaud you all because I love how you guys come together as a family. I love the video sing-alongs that you all do. I love how the children are actively involved in your ministry.
You can hire them.
And I love all of that. And so we're looking forward to new music from you and from your siblings very soon. You all have our support and our love, not because
thank you.
And I want to say not because that we go so far back. It's just because you guys are just really just downright great people.
San Diego's
shout
own.
out to your parents for what they have instilled in you, and shout out to you all for what you're instilling in your children.
Such a wonderful family.
Thank you so much, Leonard. And thank you. Let me just take a moment to just say thank you to you, because you've always been so supportive. I mean, when you allow me to do Jazz at the Creek, I mean, you always you look out for the people that you know. You look out for your fam, and we have to do that. It's our obligation we got to bring the heat when we get the opportunity.
Right.
But you always provide that opportunity, and I'm just so appreciative to you for that. So thank you so much for those words.
Well, it's nothing but love, and I thank Robert Earl Dean for setting up this interview. Final words, Robert.
This is my friend of a lifetime, and people thought we were relatives because I'm close to Micah and I'm close to Joe, and they lived up the street from me. So we would ride to church together and stuff. But such fun memories of her mom, who loved me and nurtured me, and their father. These people are wonderful people, and I'm not just saying it because she's on here, but I tell Daneen this all the time. I used to push her all the time, when she wasn't recording. So I love you and I appreciate you, and you're more than a friend. You're family to me, and I want you to keep on pushing. You'll always have my support.
Oh, thank you so much. I know you are always so supportive, and you're a blessing. So I appreciate you so much, my friend.
Now set us up with your song that we're going to introduce to some and present to others.
Well, this song it was written by my Uncle Cleveland back in the 70s. My uncles, they were from North Carolina, gospel quartet singers. And they played with the Soul Revivers and the CBS Trumpeters and all kinds of groups.
Right.
But my uncle wrote this song, and he and all my other uncles, my mom's brothers, they made a record, and we were so excited. So we would play this record all the time at home. And when I did my album, I remembered I wanted to remake the song. So this is the remake of a song called I'll Be Free from my Uncle Cleveland Burns. And singing with me are my daughters, Daneen Willis, my brothers, Micah and Joel. Joel's guitar on this, and it's called I'll Be Free.
The incomparable Daneen Wilburn, everybody.